mentioned a point of desperation, and you also mentioned your wife a couple of times because you go back to like my wife said that why are we living like this, and so talk to us about that. What was that moment like? That desperate moment where you're like, man, something's gotta shift. It's gotta change here.
Yeah. Well, um, it started. This was this started in actually 2009. Um, Late 2008. I was about 60 pounds heavier than I am now. And I had a very successful business. It was probably the best year. 2008 was actually the best year coming into the absolute crash. But I was working probably 70-hour weeks. So I finally hired a CEO coach. His name's Willie Hook. He's my CEO coach to this very day. We call him Yoda. Um, he says he's Yoda man, but Willie doesn't say much. But I basically called him into my office and said, Willie, I'm a CEO. I'm making money. I'm just miserable. And he basically asked me some questions. And then he said, Gary, he goes, here's what I can tell you about yourself. You don't know how to deal with free time. So you're an entrepreneur. Most of us are entrepreneurs. And he goes, you're always thinking and you're always a busy brain. So that was a huge, and he goes, here's what I'm going to have you do. He goes, where do you spend all your time? I told him it's this stupid cell phone. And we looked at the phone and he said, I want you to look at the amount of time that you're on your phone this last month. It was like 40 hours of the month just on the phone myself. Mm. So he said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a sabbatical right now. He goes, I want you to call your employees in and I want you to take 6 weeks off and pass the whole business over to them. He goes, the inmates will run the asylum because, you're doing everything and you got a bunch of people that are like looking up to you, but let them be accountable and let them figure it out. And he goes, during that time, I'm going to challenge you to go do things. Don't be thinking of business. I want you to go get a trainer, right? Go get some exercise, go read the Bible, go do whatever you want to do. And I will tell you, it was a life changer. That was a pivotal point. And then the transition was another couple of years over that. But I have taken a sabbatical every year ever since. And I would share that to all of us CEOs, entrepreneurs, that there's a great quote. It says, your mess is your message. So if you're a mess as a CEO, your business is going to be a mess too. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to be crystal clear and you have to be healthy as a CEO so that your organization and your business is healthy. And the other thing is, it's not just about the money. There's actually 3 kind of very important things for all of us that I've learned. And the self-awareness is around, there's wealth, there's health, and there's relationships. Mm. And when you have one it's really just like the Trinity. I mean, it's the 3 concentric circles of wealth, health, and relationships. So you can have one that's really good. You can be making a lot of money and you're going through a divorce and your kids are a disaster. Mm. You could be super healthy, but your wealth is completely disastrous and your relationships are terrible. And when I say relationships, it's relationships with our family, our kids, our spouse, our partners, with God, right? The source, and ourselves. And so really getting clear that those are the 3 things and all of them need to be healthy. And any one of them that's out of sync, it's a disaster. And so it was really kind of going through that journey and then standing back and saying, I'm going to start with, what do I want my life to look like first? Mm-hmm. Because if I build what my life is going to look like, then the rest of the organization can flow with it. Because if you don't, your business will define you, and then we become a slave to the business. And I've seen that 100% of the time for everybody I've met. We go to a lot of seminars, Brett. We listen to podcasts, and we might see some person out there, some iconic person that you look up to. And I can tell you, if you look behind the scenes, there's a lot of disaster.
Mm-hmm.
It's really when people have really focused on getting those three things, because there is a lot of smoke and mirrors, right? You look at Hollywood and you look at how many people have tons of money or sports figures, and then the rest of their life is a disaster. So really getting crystal clear on our why, wealth, health, and relationships. I'm constantly going in and rating on a scale of 1 to 10, where am I in each of those three rings? And I have a whole process of how I go through that. We can talk about that. I call it my 6Fs. But the other thing I want to share with
I just want to ask you about the sabbatical real quick, because obviously that's a great thing. And so you probably haven't ever really taken a sabbatical up to this point. He said take 6 weeks off. And did you do that? And what was that like? I mean, and what did you do?
I lost a ton of weight. I went and got a trainer. I couldn't take my computer or my phone. I had to leave it with the staff. So I didn't have a computer or the phone. People couldn't even call me. I was completely offline. Even on the bank accounts, like how do people get in and like passwords and things? And Willie's like, let them figure it out. It was the first time where I saw the people that really in my organization wanted to stay and loved what they do and believed in the vision is when things came together. So I had a philosophy that I could never find people to work for me that would be as accountable to me and it would work and run through walls. And I will tell you that is absolutely a lie. That is Satan's lie to each of us, the great deceiver. When I changed and had a clear vision, when you have a vision for your personal life and then the vision for the business, and you share that with your team and you build values and core values and structure, and you allow people to excel, people flourish. It's like a garden. You can't just go and drop seed on the ground and expect anything to grow. You've got to till it and you have to water it. And people are really our most valuable resource in a business. So as we're growing a business, and it's just like your kids, it's like your family, we have to constantly work. And so I had to stand back. And during those 6 weeks, I put together my perfect day. I said, what was my perfect day? Also, what am I uniquely gifted at? Like, what am I good at? And because all of us have different gifts, right? The gift of the spirit, it's their spiritual gifts. And so I think when you stand back, it's like, what am I really gifted at? And then what am I not? I have a little exercise in that text message that I gave everybody. There's a little exercise called my 4 quadrants. Very simple exercise of getting super crystal clear on what you're good at and then how you need to hire other better people to go do those things. So when you find what you're gifted at, you're uniquely qualified at, and then what you're passionate about, and you can get those things together in unison, there's magic. There's wonderful, and I hate using the word magic because I'm not a magic believer, but you know what I'm saying. And I even tell with my kids, a lot of us, I think part of it, Brett, is that why it's so hard for us entrepreneurs to do this is because we've been indoctrinated from day one into this slave system of being a cog in the wheel, making somebody else rich. Our whole system is that. So we have to basically break those bondages of slavery. And it really does start with having crystal clear of what your vision is. And by the way, this is fun. It's a fun exercise. It's usually you go on a walk, you go up and you get out of your office and you spend some quality time. I journal and walk and hike. And so that's what I did during my 6 weeks. I just got back last week from part of my sabbatical. I go every year, I actually go fly fishing. So I just got back from Montana for a week of fly fishing in beautiful Montana. And last year I ended up going by myself to Maui. So I went for 11 days to Maui. We own a house, we just sold it, but owned a place in Maui on the beach. And I literally went by myself for my sabbatical. My wife actually laughs. She says, do you realize how hard it is for me telling my friends that my wife and my husband went to Maui for 11 days? But she fully supported because I go over there. It's a cleansing process. It allows my team to elevate.
Mm-hmm.
It allows me to get crystal clear and recalibrate. And so I do that every year because, again, you have to be healthy as a CEO or an entrepreneur for the rest of your business. It's almost like an airplane. Think of an airplane when it goes through turbulence. And it's turbulence, right? And the masks, the oxygen masks come down. Who puts on the oxygen first? The parents do, the adults do before they put it on the kids. So we have to actually be healthy ourselves. And again, I think it starts with having a crystal clear personal vision, followed by a business vision, usually just a couple of pages. It's usually a lot of fun. And then you execute. So you have to actually then go do some of the work. And it's not about hours, but it's about the quality of time. And I'll give everybody one more.